Hi there, welcome to Razan's Corner. Today I wanted to do a part one of a two-part video about inner child work. What is inner child work? A lot of times I have adults come to my practice who are having conflict in their relationships, at their jobs, problem solving, the way they interpret their world, incidents that happen, setbacks in life, and the stories they tell themselves are very much linked to who their inner child is. What does that mean? A few days ago, I actually put a little meme on my page. It is actually by a therapist of the name of Sarah Kubrick, and she is a therapist that I follow online. She has these quick slides that she puts on her page that I actually share on my page that give you a bullet point of what something may look like in somebody. And she made a slide about inner child trauma, or the aftermath of what inner child traumas in history look like. So this is what we see in our offices. As an adult comes in, that's the first thing for me personally I assess for. What are the patterns that they have learned from an early age, and how is that playing out in their current life? I have a lot of my clients separate the inner child from the adult and help them understand that they do not need to run their world from the lens of their inner child. And we literally have to take the inner child and set them aside and operate out of the adult part of ourself. What does this look like? Sounds very complicated, but here's how I'm going to simplify it for you. I'm going to actually go through the bullet points that were on that slide that I shared from Sarah, and I would like to explain what that means in detail. So let's go with the first one. I'm not good enough. A lot of us feel that as adults. We feel it as young adults, we feel it as teenagers, we feel it as young adolescents, we feel it as preteens, we feel it as 10, 9, 8. Where does this come from? Well, have you ever heard that you could have done better as a child? Does this sound familiar? Well, that's great, but why couldn't you do it this way? Well, that's great, but you could have received this grade. Well, that's great, but why couldn't you be like so and so? Well, that's great, but next time try it this way. So every time you heard that as a child, the message you got, that wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. I disappointed again. I'm not as successful as I'm supposed to be. I'm not measuring up. So are the parents really trying to send that message? Possibly not. Possibly yes. So I do work with a lot of kids, and there are parents out there that deliberately do say these things to break the spirit down of a child because of the level of control a parent wants to have. That's a whole different ball game. Those are issues the parent has that are not dealt with mental health wise. So when you're feeling not good enough as a child, what does that do? That is constantly a self-doubt that you're going to have for the rest of your life in everything that you do, every job that you apply for, every class that you take, every project that you try to apply yourself to. There's that voice in the back of your head constantly hearing, is it enough? Is it good enough? Am I doing a good job? Am I going to succeed? Am I going to fail? Could somebody else do it better than me? That's where this comes from. Because at a young age, you were told multiple times, whether you remember or not, that you could have done better. Now, how do I want us to break this generational curse as parents? Let's practice telling our children, this was great. I can't wait to see how well you're going to do next time. You did amazing. I see that you really put effort into that. It doesn't matter what Cindy did. Cindy is Cindy and you are you, and you did a great job. I'm really proud of how you did it. So what am I doing with my child? I'm making sure that my child understands that I don't care what everybody else is able to accomplish. My main concern is her accomplishment. And as long as she's applied herself, then great. Now, if she didn't apply herself, here's how that sounds. Let's try to do a little bit differently next time What can I help you with? How can we do a better job? So this isn't pointing out that she failed or she's not good enough. This is pointing out that maybe you need extra support next time so you can be motivated to do a little bit better or apply yourself a little bit more. So now I'm not actually pinpointing that I'm disappointed. Do you see the difference? Okay, let's go to the second point. And excuse me, I will be reading off of my tablet. There is no space for my feelings. That's a big one. You are to be seen and not heard. Do you remember that? Do you remember how when you have something to say, you're told that I'm not trying to hear that. Listen to what I have to say, and that's all that matters. Or it's because I said so. Or it doesn't matter what you feel. This is the way I expected it, and that's the way it needed to be done. Most of us have heard this multiple times, and some of us have heard it a lot as children. When you came in with an emotion and it was dismissed. You came in with a feeling and it was dismissed, minimized, not relevant. You had a voice in that moment, and all you heard was your voice didn't matter. So let's go with our teachers treating us a certain way. We come to our parents and tell them about it, and here's what you hear. Well, what did you do to cause that? What did you do to create that problem? Well, maybe if you didn't do X, Y, and Z. So there's always that blame. So therefore, my feelings are not relevant because it's going to be twisted into something else. So now I don't feel that there's space for me to be emotionally transparent. I don't have a safe space for that. What does that look like in adulthood? We go into relationships holding back a lot of our emotions. We're afraid to express how we really feel. We are not assertive. We are passive. This is called codependency. We create this behavior, adopt it at a very early age because we were trained as children, brainwashed that, okay, yeah, I hear you, but it doesn't matter. So how do we break that cycle? If my child comes to me and says, Mom, I'm really upset because X, Y, and Z just happened with my friends, and I'm really upset, and I don't know what to do with it, and I feel, like I'm an odd one out, and I said this to her, and this is what she said back. Okay, so I'm going to make a safe space for my child to, whether I agree with what she's saying or not, she needs to be able to get that out. And then validating is really important. Again, whether I agree or not. Wow, I see that you're really upset. I could see why you feel this way. You have all the right to be upset. Let's see what we could do different next time, or how can we handle the situation? Maybe we need to set some boundaries. So what did I just do? I gave her a safe space, but I'm also trying to give her a solution and help her with how not to be in that situation so she doesn't feel that, she has to tolerate certain things, codependency, and she also has a safe person to come talk to. Remember that if you cannot talk to your children, they're going to go talk to somebody else, and that may not always be the right person. So their peers don't always have the right advice. So make sure you give a safe space and break that generational curse of not being able to express your emotions the way you should. I'm going to add one more point to this, and then I'll do another video for the other points. The next one I want to share is I want what they have. Where does that come from? Okay, how many times have you been compared to somebody else as a child? I have, a lot. So when you hear, why can't you be like so-and-so? Why can't we have such and so? Because we don't have this. Oh, because we don't have enough money. Oh, I need to make more money to give you that. And oh, there's always an exception why we cannot have what somebody else has, or we cannot enjoy something as a family because of X, Y, and Z. One, that's too much information to share with your children because cognitively they don't understand that. Two, it's really important to help your child understand that what we have is sufficient and it's fine. We don't need to be competing with the Joneses. We don't need to have what everybody else has. We should be content with what we have, and we as a family are content with what we have. It's okay if we don't go on a cruise every single year and Disneyland twice a year. That's fine. We have other things that we do as a family. So the comparisons is how we develop that at an early age, that I'm always looking to see what everybody else has and I wish I had it. What are we doing on social media? We are comparing ourselves to the level of paranoia. So I've created a new word, comparanoia, because that's what people are doing. Creates depression, creates anxiety, creates a lack of, I'm not deserving, I have enough self-worth, and what's wrong with me? Why don't I get to go on vacations every year? Why don't, okay, well, first of all, social media doesn't show you people's real issues. Second of all, stop comparing yourself. You've been compared enough in your whole life, so now that you're in charge, the adult, not the child, process it differently. What are you gaining out of comparing yourself? Do you realize that other people compare themselves to you and admire things that you have? So when you look at, you know, I want what they have. Okay. But if you're going to do that, then I want you to compare everything you have and exchange it to everything you want from them and everything else that it comes with. So when you're comparing yourself to somebody and they have a nice car, I want their car. I wish I had their house. Okay, but remember, you'd have to really compare the whole with the whole. So would you give up everything to have their life? Because there's a lot of amazing in your life that you wouldn't give up. So why don't you focus on what you do have that you don't want to lose and embrace that instead of admiring the 10 or 20% that everybody else may be having in front of you that you would rather have. Be content, because there are a lot of amazing things in your life that you're not focusing on if you're constantly focusing on what you wish you could have that everybody else has. I hope this helped you connect how your childhood experiences affect your adult way of thinking at a magnitude that's, unfathomable. I mean, a lot of people don't realize the correlation. Where did we gain this information and insight on how to dissect this? It's definitely Freud. This is psychodynamic work. So what that means is we go to the inner child experiences, traumas, setbacks, disappointments. Where did we develop trust? Where did we not develop trust? Where have we felt abandoned? Where have we felt dismissed, disposable, not wanted, rejected? All of those things play a role on how you deal with your life as an adult. And you don't even realize this is happening because a lot of it is subconscious. So I wanted to put this out there because people don't know what to do with inner child work, and I want to help you with that. We all walk around with wounds from childhood. I don't know anybody that sat in my office or in a conversation, period, that said, I've had a great childhood. I don't think there is such a thing. But I also want you to understand your parents had a childhood and their parents had a childhood, and it's a generational curse. Whatever they felt in their childhood, they carried into their adult life. Whatever their parents felt in their childhood, they carried into their adult life. And this is why I'm helping people break cycles, because now you have a choice. You can continue the pattern of a learned behavior, or you can set the boundary and say, this won't be me. This is not going to be my story. I'm going to stop believing the lies. Hopefully this helped you. Please follow my page, like this video, share it, subscribe, tell your friends about it. The more we get this word out, the better. I have my website, Razan's therapeuticservices.com. You can also follow me at Razan's Corner on Instagram. Again, I just want to put this out there. This is a word that somebody may need to hear right now that might be struggling. I appreciate your support, and I thank you so much for your time. Take care, be blessed, and be safe.